I think as Americans, especially, we're acquainted with this character, the Mr. Monopoly, basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have our ideas, we have our opinions, and what this film does is it like, yeah, it humanizes this character, but it like does something more than that. It turns his life into a mystery, into like a puzzle that we're trying to solve. And
Right.
and like that like really draws you in.
Yeah.
And it it does so through the device of this dying word. But like what it's really doing is plugging you into the deeper mystery, which is that these people, humans, were these incredible sort of like bottomless, um unfathomable, we're in the image of God. Like that's like bottom line, that's it. That's like the rosebud, and so I yeah, like I don't know if getting more information at the end about what rosebud means really serves that thematically. and
Right.
and when we're given these like, yeah, these forays into psychoanalysis from these secondary characters, I don't think the film does enough to frame those as like reductive or insufficient. I think that it's actually, the way I saw those was that we were actually getting another piece in the puzzle, that this was like an honest appraisal.
Hmm.
But it has to fall short, you know. Um and so yeah, so like I think that like if you were to look at this film as like, and I don't know, I'd be interested to hear what Orson Welles himself may have said about this, because it very well may have been that he was like coming at this from sort of a Freudian psychology perspective. I mean, that was like very hip at the time.
Right.
So, but I think that like if you view this film as a Freudian um, exploration, it's flat. It fails. And like whenever those like Freudian psychoanalytic aspects start to drift in, I think it actually minimizes the greatness that's there, which is, I think, a spiritual recognition of man's greatness, of man's, sort of larger than life identity, because it's not just Kane, it's all of us. So Kane is a helpful conduit for this. He's a helpful guinea pig, because
Hmm.
his life on Earth is bigger than life. But for all of us, this is how it works. And the film has some the film definitely has some things to say about his psychology. I mean, one of them is that he wants love. And so
Yeah.
he's driven by this need for love, presumably from wounds that he has had as a child and being given up by his parents. I mean, but who of us doesn't have wounds, and who of us doesn't have wounds from our parents? But
Yeah.
the more he finds fame and acceptance and notoriety, um, prestige, the more lonely he becomes. But you don't have to like become the richest man in the world to learn that. There's an amazing line after he's lost his election. He tries to run for governor, and it's the only time he runs for office, and he doesn't win. But he's speaking with his basically only friend. This is the dramatic critic for the newspaper, um, and Jedediah Leland. He calls him out on basically like where he's at in his life, and like what's become of him.
I've set back the sacred cause of reform. Is that it? All right. That's the way they want it. The people have made that choice. It's obvious the people prefer Jim Geddes to me.
You talk about the people as though you own them, so they belong to you. Goodness. As long as I can remember, you've talked about giving the people their rights. As if you could make them a present of liberty. As a reward for services rendered.
Jed.
Remember the working man?
I'll get drunk too, Jedediah. It'll do any good.
That won't do any good. Besides, you never get drunk. You used to write an awful lot about the working man.
Oh, go on
He's turning
home.
into something called organized labor. You're not going to like that one little bit when you find out it means that your working man expects something as his right, not as your gift, Charlie. When your precious underprivileged really get together, oh, boy. That's going to add up to something bigger than your privilege, and I don't know what you'll do. Sail away to a desert island, probably, and lord it over the monkeys.
I wouldn't worry about it too much, Jed. There'll probably be a few of them there to let me know when I do something wrong.
You may not always be so lucky.
You're not very drunk.
Drunk, what do you care? You don't care about anything except you. You just want to persuade people that you love them so much that they ought to love you back. Only you want love on your own terms. It's something to be played your way, according to your rules.
So Jedediah says, yeah, okay, you'll probably sail off to some desert island and lord it over the monkeys. And Kane, still riffing on this, joking around, says, yeah, there'll probably be a few of them there to let me know when I do something wrong. And then
Right.
and then what his friend says back is, you may not always be so lucky.
Mm.
And I just think that that's like so true for all of us, is that it's a special danger for the famous and the wealthy and the powerful to sort of be ensconced in these bubbles where nobody wants to say the wrong thing to them. I mean, that's like one of the criticisms of the Star Wars movies from George Lucas, the prequel movies. I've heard people say, well, he was just too big and nobody felt,
Right.
they could say no to him.
Mm.
But I imagine that this is like a problem for everybody who achieves like a certain level of status. But certainly for all of us, like in our relationships with the people that we love and who love us, it's like, it's not real. Like you really need a love that's going to like correct you and like bust through your pretensions,
Right.
and challenge you. And that's something that precisely that a lot of us are precisely working to eliminate from our lives, and to run away from. So it's like, this is a long-winded way of saying that like Kane as a character is a fascinating stand-in for all of us. He because he's this really big, larger than life figure, it throws everything into a greater relief. But the dynamics there are really relevant for everyone, I think.